My name is Caleb,
My name is Trevor.
and this is a podcast where brothers talk about brother
Brother
things.
things.
Trevor,
What's
how
up?
are you, bro? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, dog. We haven't done one of these since last year.
That
That's
was
crazy.
so funny. I love the last year jokes. Very
Thank you.
original.
I've been hanging around a lot of dads recently, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Why are you
I'm good,
so
bro.
far to the right on your camera? Yeah, that's better. That's a little better.
I don't know. I just started leaning this way.
I have two questions. Number one is what have you been doing recently?
All
And
right.
and then also, what is the cutoff date for the Happy New Year? Is it because it's January 10th right now?
Uh-huh.
Obviously, we've spoken since the new year, but we haven't spoken to the people out there.
Bro. So I just had someone tell me this morning. Jenna told me that
Shout
her
out to Jenna.
boyfriend, her boyfriend's invited to a Christmas party for next week.
Hold up.
And I
Oh,
was
whoa.
like, what do you mean? Is this
Armenian? Is it
for
Armenian
next year?
Christmas?
I highly doubt it.
Okay.
We're in Pittsburgh.
Sure.
He, I don't know, but I don't want to say it's not, but I don't think it is. No.
Okay.
No. All
Interesting.
signs point towards no. Yeah, so I don't know when the cutoff date is for New Year's. I feel like it's about the week though.
Oh,
Um, or if you like see somebody, you're like, hey, are you having a good New
right,
Year so
right,
far, or
right.
something like that, you know?
Like if you have like
But
a doctor appointment or something, January 14th, can you
yeah,
pull it
yeah,
out?
yeah, yeah,
I'm sure the doctor gets it 10 times a day. All right, so we are here to just do a quick little NBA roundup. There's been a lot of stuff happening, a lot of news recently, but we have not really touched on the NBA since the first couple of weeks of the season. So we figured what better way to get back to it than go to the basics. So how do you want to do this, Trev? Do you want to go topic by topic, or do you want to come at me with something and I'll come at you with something, pause, or what?
pause. I think after that, I think we should just do topic to topic. Yeah, I think that's the safest route.
All right, I'll roll out topics then, and then I'll get your take on them. Draymond Green has been reinstated after punching Yusuf Nurkic. Of course, his second suspension of the season already, and that one was an indefinite suspension. I think he ended up serving 13 games. He went through
Mm-hmm.
counseling. He said he contemplated retirement, but I think this is generally good news if you're a Warriors fan because it's been a struggle of a season. You have Steph Curry, who is still a top five player in the league, and then everyone else on your team has been very inconsistent at best.
Yeah,
Wiggins is playing his worst basketball ever.
and
Chris
you're
Paul,
not the only one that lost out on that. The Warriors paid Wiggins and Poole a lot of money,
yeah,
and we see how both of those went.
that's the whole other thing
Um,
here is like you had a secondary scorer who was averaging 25 points per game, and you shipped him away because of Draymond Green, who has caused so many other issues for them this year since that.
yeah,
And now you have nothing but inconsistent and injury prone
I'm,
players and you falling out of the play-in. So what do you think like Draymond coming back does for them?
I mean, I don't know who else they really have. I mean, Kaminga and Looney, I guess, but I don't necessarily the value that Draymond adds is like it's like when you're thinking about something in a nostalgic way, and then you get to try it. Like you're thinking about like, oh, this burger was really good from this one place like 4 years ago. Then you get to go back and you try it, and you're like, oh yeah, it's still good, but it's not as good as I thought it was. And I think
Shout
that
out the Dodgers chicken sandwiches.
yeah, for real. Dodgers chicken sandwich, good, but not as good as you remember. Um, no, the other thing is, I know he talked about contemplating retirement, and Adam Silver was like, "No, you shouldn't do that." I want to know how that conversation went.
Yeah.
I don't know if Adam Silver just loves chaos, or what the deal is, but I just don't see that being like, I don't know, with all the
Yeah,
Josh stuff.
how accurate is that
Yeah,
our
I,
information of that conversation?
is that what the league wants to look like again? because they tried so hard to get away from it. And like, granted, they went way overboard, like trying to tell people what they could wear and how they could act off court and all that. But I mean, there's got to be a happy medium. And with everything that happened with Ja last year, bringing Draymond back, who has been acting like he needs to get checked for CTE, uh, I don't know. I'm indifferent about it because I've never like loved Draymond. I thought he's been a really, really, really decent player that has had the ability to have great all-time players around him. So I don't know. Not discrediting, like Draymond has been good in the past, but I don't know how much value he's adding back to that team other than just being a part of the original team. I
Well,
don't know.
we see their records with and without Draymond, and he definitely helps the team. He's someone to kind of alleviate the ball pressure from Curry, which you'll need without Chris Paul being there right now. So I think at the end of the day, it's a net positive for them because remember when the season started, everyone was talking about this season for the Warriors being like their last dance because Clay is going to be a free agent and everyone's getting older. Curry is still in his prime somehow. We know LeBron's prime so long that sometimes Curry goes unrecognized for he's 35 years old and still playing some of the best basketball of his life. But whenever you're in that predicament, that's why the Warriors couldn't full send with like the young movement. Also, they drafted incorrectly. But imagine if they would have drafted, you know, the right pieces. They took James Wiseman when LaMelo was there. The whole team could look different. All that to say,
Yeah.
if they chose this route, you need those vets. You need Draymond to play. And I don't know. We'll see if he can actually be Draymond Green without being Draymond Green, you know, and see if he
Yeah.
can help. But I'm not convinced. Let's put it that
Draymond
way.
Green reminds me a lot of Kanye. He's always going to come back, licking his wounds, acting like everything's good, and then there'll be something else. So I don't know. We'll see. But the Warriors are not the only California team that locked in their decisions before this year and now are dealing with the repercussions of them, good or bad. The Clippers. I don't know if you saw Kawhi just signed $50 million a year for
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
Um, Interesting, but I talked to a Clippers fan the other day, or earlier today actually, and he was explaining they have no draft picks to like 2030. So
Because of Paul George.
what else are they gonna do?
Well, and Kawhi's having a great year. He's played nearly every game. I think he's missed one.
You know, I did. I looked it up. You know the percentage of games Kawhi's missed in his career versus the amount of time he's been in the NBA.
What is it?
36% of games,
Mm.
like throughout his entire course of the NBA. He missed like 85 of 200 and something, excluding the ACL year with the Clippers, like not even counting that. So that's absurd.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
he missed. I remember he played like 8 games or 9 games for the Spurs this last season there, and
I think it
that
was
was the
8.
whole mess. And then he missed 20 during the Raptors championship run, and then of course since then he's been the load management poster boy. But this year he's playing, and he's playing very well. And they've clicked with James Harden being there now, and they've been over the last. I think it was over their last 20 games they've won 16, which is very impressive.
It looks a lot like what LeBron was trying to do when he brought all those old players into LA and
You
create
mean
like
like the
a team
Lance
like that.
Stevenson team?
Yeah, who else was on that team?
No way, bro. That's crazy disrespect to James Harden
No.
and Russ. Saying
Uh-huh.
saying Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson are like James Harden.
It looks like multiple attempts that we've seen from LeBron and different players to get all-stars on the tail end of their career all together. I'm talking about like LeBron, Melo, AD, like that year. Who else was there?
Russ?
Russ was there. Yeah. Yeah.
Now
So
Russ
I
is
don't know.
in a Clippers jersey.
I like Russ. I don't like Paul George. I don't really love Kawhi, and I'm indifferent about James Harden.
Well, put
I'm
that to
probably
the side and recognize that they've been the one of the best three teams since the Harden trade after starting 0-6. So I would say that locking in Kawhi makes sense to me. We've seen Kawhi leave after winning a championship. You don't really want to run that risk again. And he's the best player that the Clippers have had in a long time, like pound for pound, the
But
best player.
if Kawhi wants to leave and he's locked in, he's just gonna play less games. Like
Maybe.
Kawhi's either way. So I don't know. I mean, again, I don't see other options that the Clippers have, so I respect it. I know they're trying to lock in PG too. Um, so we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
Clippers are playing good. I'm not saying they're not. I just don't know how sustainable any of it is with
Yeah.
older
I
players and
mean,
players that are injury
and
prone.
it's the Clippers, right? You can never really trust them. You're not going to trust them to make it to the finals or win a championship. But
I
if there
don't
was
think they're
ever a
making it to
time,
the finals this year.
if there was a time, the Suns aren't playing well, the Lakers are playing terrible. We just talked
Look,
about the Warriors.
I'd love to have Russ win one and
Yeah.
have James Harden, and I think it would be awesome. But I don't see it.
Yeah,
I
fair
don't see it.
enough. And another team in the West that has been looked at as a contender recently has had some pretty bad news all year, and it doesn't stop now. John Morant is out for the rest of the year with a shoulder injury. They brought Derrick Rose in. He needs to teach him how to land properly or stop doing
Yeah,
those
shout
fancy
out
dunks.
Joel. Crazy. You pick up a suspended guy, hold him, hope to trade him, and then he gets injured for the rest of the year. So
Wild, bro.
that's rough.
That is so bad. That is so
That's
bad.
rough.
What do you think the Grizzlies do here? Do they just lean into the tank? Because they're already without Stevie Adams. They're already
I would.
without Brandon Clark.
I mean, I'm no NBA coach, but I definitely would.
Yeah.
I don't see why you would try to overextend the little talent you still have playing. Just let Gilliard and them play the year
Yeah.
out. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
And maybe one of them develop and become
For
better.
sure. For sure.
So, I mean, we saw Tillman play really good basketball last year. Not like
Yep.
great,
Yep.
but heads and shoulders above what I've seen from him before
Mm-hmm.
since like college days. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what you do if you're the Grizzlies, but what are they ranked right now?
Like what's their seating? I think they're like 13 or
Like,
something. They're outside of the play-in tournament. They were, of course, they were like the worst team in the league besides the Pistons. And then Ja came back, and what's Ja right away was a superstar right away. I think he only played 6 or 7 games though. Now he's out again. So yeah, I agree.
so
Try to develop the young talent that you have. They don't have a ton though because Ja and them was the young talent, Jaren Jackson Jr. And now they're older. But I think,
yeah.
let Triple J keep developing. Maybe he can become more of a number one type threat whenever the situation calls for it. I'm not sure, but if there's anything to do right now, it's just experiment with the people you have and maybe look to flip Marcus Smart at the deadline or something. He hasn't been great for them, and the whole point was to come in and play next to Ja. So
He's had great games, but he hasn't played great for them. No.
right, he's on your fantasy, right?
Real Yeah, yeah. Real quick, while we're talking about teams in the West, we've seen like yes, no, maybe, absolutely not, absolutely yes. Are the Kings getting Siakam?
That is the question. Are the Kings getting Siakam? It's been yes and no, literally day to day, hour by hour. I think the big hold right now is the draft compensation. Siakam will be a free agent at the end of this year. And he has said that he wasn't going to re-sign if the Kings traded for him. I never saw the actual quote. That's just what I've heard from the NBA circles. So I'm sure that gives them the hesitation of more than one pick. But I don't I don't know why he wouldn't. I think it's a good trade. I think it's a good fit for him there
He,
next to
he
Fox. And
wants to stay in Toronto,
he wants to stay in
right?
Toronto. Right. And I love that. That's admirable. But you got too many wings over there already, bro. You
I
got
mean, he
some
wants
overlap.
it. No, but it sounds a lot like what I would imagine Nikola Jokic would be like. He's like, just want to stay with that team and see if he can make something shake. I mean,
Right.
Scotty's playing great. Y'all traded OG, right?
Yep. To the
And who
Knicks.
else?
It's Precious Achua.
RJ Barrett had a really good game.
RJ Barrett had a really good half.
Calling him the MJ of the North is what I heard.
That used to be Wiggins. Maple Jordan was Wiggins
sort of
back in the day. Hey, bro, I'm glad RJ is here. I don't love his contract, but now with RJ, we brought back another like 2-3. So we have him, we have Scotty, we have Siakam. It's just not gonna work. I think it's Scotty's team. You heard Darko last night say that Scotty Barnes is the face of the NBA, the future face of the NBA. I don't know about all that, but he's a future all-star for sure. He could be an all-star this year. He's
face of the NBA is out of pocket. Let's be real.
But at least he believes in his guys.
He plays for Toronto. He's not going to be the face of the NBA.
Right. But if you trade Siakam, that'll open up more opportunity for him, which I think at the bottom line, that's what the Raptors need to focus on. You're not going to win a championship this year. You're not going to win a championship in the short term. Focus on Scotty's development. Let him become that number one guy. Right now, he's been playing like a number one guy, but he's been still inconsistent. You have Siakam will take over sometimes when you wish Scotty would. And if Siakam's gone, that alleviates that problem. But Siakam has had kind of an up and down last couple of years. Of course, he was an all-star after helping them win the championship 5 years ago, believe it or not, was when the Raptors championship was. But I think if you do trade Siakam, you're looking at 1 first-round pick because he is a free agent, maybe 2 if you trade him to the right team. But I wouldn't expect a huge haul if you're the Raptors. It's a similar like Zach LaVine situation.
Yeah. Speaking of the Raptors, was Darko valid?
Darko is incredibly valid. You see, for those who don't know what we're talking about, Darko went on a tangent, a table-pounding tangent last night after the Lakers shot 23 free throws in the fourth quarter. And the Raptors shot 2. He was basically, the bottom line was Scotty goes hard to the rim every possession and rarely gets the call, whereas the superstars LeBron, AD get the call every time. I love that he said, if they need to win, fine, just tell us and we won't show up. That was awesome. Now he's definitely getting a huge fine for what he said, but someone had to say it. And shout out to him for sticking up for his team.
That's what I was going to say. Somebody had to say it. And like at this point, it's like, it's the National Basketball Association. It's the United States of America, baby. You're supposed to be able to say you suck at your job if you suck at your job. So they shouldn't even be getting fined for it, for real. But I think it is completely valid. I think every coach needs to start saying it. I think the Players Association needs to get involved. And I think 90% of the refs need to go back to coaching or reffing elementary school games.
How about this? Refs need to do post-game interviews, just like the players and the coaches do.
How about we get rid of Scott Foster, and that'll help a lot.
Scott Foster, Tony Brothers, and who was it? Brandon, what's his name? Is the ref that keeps having beef with the Raptors. Remember when Fred VanVleet went off last year and dropped like 10 F-bombs in the post-game? It was the same ref.
At any level, you're going to have refs that dislike certain players more than others.
But
the difference between – yeah, it was actually good now. The difference between, like, high school basketball or, like, AAU or college even, the NBA, it's a professional league. So as, like, the standard you hold the players and coaches to, you need to hold those refs to those standards as well.
You have to, bro. You have to. And the last several years,
they're supposed to be the most unbiased.
Right. The last several years have just been awful. It's been a joke.
Awful.
The refs have been terrible. And I think you see more and more. Wasn't it Taylor Jenkins earlier this season, the Grizzlies coach, who went off on the refs? Yeah. Like, if the coaches are saying all this consistently, then that's –
and good
shouldn't that be a clear sign? Yes. Coaches know what they're doing.
Multiple times.
Yeah. And LeBron, whenever the Lakers don't get the calls, LeBron's always saying something about it. Now, last night he wasn't saying anything.
Yeah, imagine that. How weird.
Imagine that. But even like if your star player and the coaches, like everyone at some point or another has called out the refs, I think they need a complete overhaul. There's very few refs in the league that are valid and should stay. Just to circle back real quick to the guards getting injured, Tyrese Haliburton did suffer a pretty
Yes.
scary looking injury. Now, from all accounts, he's going to be relatively okay. He's out for 2 weeks, then he'll be reevaluated. But I don't know if you saw it, Trevor. He basically did a full split, which looked incredibly
I
painful.
did, and I saw him get carried off, and
Yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah, towel
gnarly.
over the head. So
Yeah,
that wasn't great.
it
But
definitely looked worse than it is.
mhm.
Um,
Thank
I'm sure
God.
it was super painful,
Oh yeah,
but yeah, he's such a great talent.
yeah.
Um,
Best
Also,
point guard in the East.
I'm not a Pacers fan. I'm not even like really a Tyrese Haliburton fan, but people need to stop the nonsense. None of these players are stat padding. Okay, the only one doing that is y'all's King LeBron, probably. At this point, he's done everything but come out and say it.
Oh,
That's
is a
why he's still in the league,
LeBron
so he
hater.
can keep breaking records. But for real, when Tyrese got 20 and 20, the amount of times I heard he was stat padding is just insane to me. He's
Oh,
just a damn good basketball player.
I think that was partially because he was playing the Bulls. um, and it's easy to stat pad against the Bulls. I'm gonna be real, but yeah, no, I think Tyrese has been the best point guard in the East this year, if not the number one. Obviously, top three. Sucks that he's going to miss some time, but thankfully he should be back for All Star, which would be great because it's in Indiana. He's obviously going to play. He'll probably get the starting position. So and the Pacers have been good this year. They're always fun to watch because they play at such a high pace. That's another possible Siakim destination. I would love for them to trade for him, add a little bit more defense and spin moves to the run and gun team. But
I
I
mean, the
think,
Pacers are six in the East, tied with the Heat.
yeah, they're
So
and the whole like 4 through 8 in the East is just like separated by a game or so, right? So it's been close. They've been the 4th seed for a large part of it. I they could end up landing outside of the playoffs, but I don't think they'll fall below the play-in tournament teams.
I mean, I don't see how they fall outside of the playoffs unless I don't want to say it because it's going to sound like I'm hating, but I really don't foresee the Magic continuing this.
Well,
So
the Magic started really, really well. They were the 4th seed up until about a week ago, but Franz Wagner has been out for a while now, and they're starting to fall apart a little bit without him. Magic are great. Love watching them. Paolo's been really good this year, probably an all-star as well. So I
yeah,
hope that they continue success because they are a fun team to watch. But I do think the Pacers and the Magic are pretty much on the same tier of like fun, young, could contend for the playoffs, will not make it out the first round.
yeah, for sure.
Speaking of another team and that tier who's been creeping up a little bit, I said I wasn't going to do it, but I
Uh,
got to do it. The Coby White led Chicago Bulls have been on such a tear since Zach LaVine went out. And now he's back. That was a weird time, but it looks like Zach has maybe just temporarily taken a step back to let Coby lead this team. That was the big concern with Zach coming back was, is Coby going to fall off? Nope. Back-to-back games, efficient 20-something point nights. Still looks like the number one option out there. And then we have Andre Drummond, who looks like he's playing for Detroit again. It's been fun. Will this last? Probably not. Will we trade Zach LaVine? I hope so. Who wants him? Not a lot of people. He'll probably go to the Lakers because they're struggle fest right now. But it's been fun, man. I don't want to say too much, but I do appreciate the fact that we started 5-14 and now we are firmly in that 9 seed coming for the play-in tournament.
Yes, I really think the Bulls could do it this year. The Bulls could win a playoff game.
You think so?
I don't know. I just have this weird feeling the Bulls can do it this year. So
It
I'm excited to
depends.
see how that pans out.
It depends if we keep Caruso or not. I know there's been talks of flipping him at the deadline. His value's never been higher. If you're a contending team, you should definitely trade for him. But I think the Bulls are asking a lot, rightfully so, because he's the best dollar for dollar contract in the league right now at $9 million a year. First team all defense. He's the reason we win a bunch of these games. Always playing with hustle. So if we keep Caruso and we try to keep going with this current iteration of the Bulls play-in tournament, we'll see. But don't forget, it was just a couple years ago where we did win a playoff game against the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee. And then we lost by 30 points back-to-back games after that, and we were done in 5. But we did win a playoff game.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm enjoying it, man. I'm not trying to get too invested, but I'm just enjoying the wins while we have them, because for a while they were few and far between. I was defeated after that Celtics game, that in-season tournament game where we got blown out, the one where Zach left the game. And it's just been nice to not feel that way. But speaking of contenders, speaking of contenders trading for Caruso, you know where I want him to go, and that is your team, Denver Nuggets.
I wouldn't mind it. The thing I'll say about the Nuggets, and I've thought this a lot, like since the beginning of last year, before the season even started, like preseason. With most teams, but especially with the Nuggets, the chemistry and the continuity and the vibe of the team is incredibly important. And the Nuggets have a really, really good thing going. Reggie Jackson and DeAndre Jordan seem to play like they're 22 years old again whenever they play together.
Yeah.
It's honestly amazing. I got to give DJ some respect. I hate the guy, but he's played not bad this year.
Why
at
do you
all.
hate him, bro?
Because he sucked last year. That's literally it. I've watched this man turn the ball over 17 times in a row. Get out rebounded by 5'3" players. I just can't stand it. But that's besides the point. The Nuggets are tied with the Celtics in the last 10 games for the only two teams that have gone 8-2.
Mm-hmm.
The Nuggets have only lost 12 games this year, 26-12.
They're back up to the 3 seed, right behind the Thunder. After they were middling there for a while in December, but they've
only lost.
Yep, brought it back
lost
up.
to the Thunder, unfortunately, but 3-1 in our last 4. Jokic has been playing really good this year. He's just been playing different, and I think it just honestly speaks to his talent. We've seen some games before where he would have like 15 and like 8 points. But I mean, last game he had 16 assists and 4 points, but we still won. Mm-hmm. Jamal had 36 or 37. I think somebody like Caruso would be a better ad, and we could give y'all somebody like P-Watt or Julian Strawthers or
I'll
something.
take it, bro.
Picks.
I think, well, this is where I'm less of a Bulls fan and more of a Caruso fan. I want that man to get another championship, so I don't care what we get back, because he's done so much. Like, he has changed the culture for us, and you'll see that as soon as you trade for him. But you need that Bruce Brown replacement. This man will, like Coby White, DeMar even, like everyone's defense has improved because Coach Caruso. So I think if you get someone like that coming in, he will replace what Bruce Brown did on the court, but also bring so much more. And from all accounts, all of his teammates have always liked him. So I think he'd just feed into your culture. I would love to see him next to Jamal. Let Jamal go crazy and him lock up the defender.
Yeah. Caruso and Bruce Brown and that is the missing piece for sure, is a Bruce Brown type player. They have the same type of motor. Now Caruso is obviously more defensive minded, and Bruce Brown's just going to go straight to the basket. But I think we need something like that, because when you watch the games that we've lost, I wouldn't even like blame the bench as a whole, but I will say like Jokic, for example, looks exhausted.
Yeah, for sure.
One man that is 7 foot tall and drinks beer and watches horse races all off season can only do so much.
Yeah, and he had to carry so much of the load when Jamal was out for a month there. So
for years,
yeah,
let's be real. For years, every time Jamal's been out, he's carried that load. He got us to playoffs.
yeah.
I mean, you can't
Now
ask more from the man. You got to make
Caruso
sure he has that team.
Caruso does miss a fair bit of time because he is always, always, always diving on the ground. But basically, I think the thing that we're getting at is, there's a lot going on in the NBA. The Nuggets have a chance to contend again. The Bulls don't. Trade for Caruso.
Hold on. Go stream New Balance by Apex. It's his best song yet, hands down.
Appreciate it, dog. Yeah, go stream it. Go stream it. We gotta get these numbers up. All
My
right,
neighbor
fam.
smoking the marijuana as I smell it.
Oh, that's fun. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and peace, love, and pixie dust.
Go Nuggets.